Before we get started, I got to give a little shout out to Hafty. Hafty is the perfect layering shirt for women. It adds a sleeve and a neckline to all of your sleeveless tops, dresses, and jumpers and allows you to wear all of today's fashions without all the extra bulk and heat, but you get to do it modestly. So I've actually got one on. This is our brand new ruche sleeve, cuts off right here. It is perfect for this maxi dress and just gives me a more modest coverage, but it also lets me extend my wardrobe all year round. Go ahead and use Her Layered Life to save 15% off your first purchase. Go check us out at hafty.com. Welcome to Her Layered Life, where we talk with women business owners about faith, family, business, and every relationship in between. Here's the truth. Women drive over $80 trillion in global spending every year, yet only 2% of those dollars go into women-owned businesses. What if we took that to 5%? We could change the dynamics of our economy and millions of lives. One story, one layer, one woman at a time. Because her life is layered and her influence can change the world. Welcome back to Her Layered Life. It's the Christmas season, and today's episode is all about light. The light we share, the light we live, and the light we carry into the world that needs it more than ever. My guest is Tess Frame. You may know her. Is it Tess? I didn't know your name was Tesiah.
Tesiah.
Tesiah. Well, I'm going to ask in a minute how that came about. I would love to know the story behind that. Tessiah Frame, a Latter-day Saint content creator, digital missionary, and someone whose joyful testimony brings real peace and hope to thousands online. But Tess is much more than her Instagram presence. She is the CEO and co-founder of Happy Sacrament, a brand designed to help people make faith a joyful daily habit, not just a Sunday ritual. And she is the author of Risen, Bread plus Redemption, a beautiful project that blends storytelling, faith, and symbolism in a way that invites people closer to Christ. I first found Tess's content months ago and instantly felt her warmth, her steadiness, her ability to make discipleship feel both holy and doable. She shares Christ in a way that feels authentic, modern, and deeply rooted. Today, we're talking about how her journey began, the unexpected calling of becoming a visible disciple online, and what it looks like to share goodness in a noisy world, especially during Christmas season. So, Tess, how are you? Thank you
Yes,
so much for joining me.
I'm great. It's so good to be here.
Tess is in California. She's layered up today because she's freezing at a good old 75 degrees.
I know. It's so cold.
She's so cold. Anyways, I want to know first, because I didn't, Tessiah, where did Tessiah come from? Your name?
So, I don't know fully. My dad was the one that named me. He knew that that was going to be my name. I think before they didn't know I was going to be a girl. They didn't do an ultrasound in the 80s. And so he just was like, if it's a girl, this is her name.
I love it.
And that was it. That was it.
I love it. It's beautiful. Tess is one of my favorite names of all times. My little sister has a Tess. One of my really good friends is Tess. Tess is just so cute and feminine, but just kind of tough too. Just I love it. I love that name. So for anyone who's new to you, can you introduce yourself and share a little bit about what your page and your mission is all about?
Sure. So I am a mom of three boys. We're based in North San Diego County in California, and we are just a happy, rambunctious bunch of people. I live with a lot of little boys and a couple of big ones. My adult brother and my husband also live here. So it's a lot of boy energy. And we just over the years have learned how to run them ragged in order to get their energy out. And so we spend tons of time in the sun and outside. And we're always building things. We're little engineers over here. And my husband and I are both entrepreneurs and really ambitious, independent workers in that way. So we're really excited all the time about building something for our kids and for ourselves and for our family. And um, I started sharing my faith online earlier this year. I've shared it. I've shared it to some extent always, but I really made the intentional pivot to like purposely create content that was faith-based at the beginning of the summer this year in 25. And that has been a really cool experience because my whole outlook and my worldview is that faith is so joyful and fun. And really, it is the avenue that is going to make your life happier. And I really just wanted to show that on my page because I saw so many other creators making faith-based content that was either it was very like faith light, it was diet faith, where it was like garment friendly outfits. So it's like faith adjacent, but we're not actually talking about faith. Or if we're talking about faith, the other creators were very academic and very like, we're teaching. It's all educational. It's very serious. We're getting into deep dives and doctrine. And I was like, where's this middle ground where we can talk about faith, but it's still really funny and fun, and we can make fun of ourselves and take a joke and have some tongue in cheek humor about church culture and our relationships with each other and how and like no one's talking about the fun part. We're all talking about like salvation, like not that that's not amazing, but like it doesn't have to always be this heavy pious, you know, experience. And so I just was like, I wonder if I can create content that lands somewhere in there. And so I've had some fun doing that. And it's been really fun to see that it resonates with people and the audience is growing. And I feel like it also is relevant to my business, my small business that I co-own, Happy Sacrament, which is play-based gospel teaching tools and toys for kids. And we really, our focus is to leverage the child's instinct for play and use that instinct to teach them the gospels.
I love that.
So still finding that middle ground of like where faith is fun.
I love that. So was there a moment, or has it just kind of evolved naturally, but was there a moment where you thought, "Okay, this is bigger than I expected, and this is actually becoming like a real calling or like a real shift in how I'm gonna be spending my time?"
The one of the first posts I did, I was so nervous because I had had a couple of comedy posts go viral. And so I had like, I don't know, 40 or 45,000 followers before from non-faith based content. And so I knew when I pivoted, I'm going to lose a good chunk of those because they don't necessarily want to see Mormon content,
Yeah,
And so I posted a video pretty early on where I'm just I stand up and I'm adjusting my garments. And I'm like, everybody knows as soon as I stand up what my beliefs are.
yeah,
And it like took off and I lost maybe like 3,000 followers, but I gained like 20,000.
yeah,
So I was like, whoa, okay. So people like the funny part. They like the funny stuff. And our generation has kind of shifted from, the older generations are more like, we don't talk about garments. We don't talk about the temple. It's very sacred and quiet. And we know now that like sacred doesn't mean secret. And also everybody knows we wear garments. This isn't like, it's not private. I'm not showing anyone, but just talking about it and being able to laugh about it as a cultural element was funny to people and resonated. And it took some of this like secrecy and the intensity out of it,
mhm.
which I think is good. And so I started to grow quickly from that. And I just have been kind of playing around with what kind of content resonates with people. And I do treat it like a job. I try to post at least several times a week. And I do use it for sharing messages that are important to me. Sometimes it is more vulnerable, but most of the time I try to keep it really fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell me something, or going along with tweaking from one place and tweaking and changing things into more of a faith-based, knowing that was gonna kinda cause a little disruption, rub people wrong. What helped you kinda step into that role, like that shift, and how has it stretched you in your own discipleship? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah. So there was so much like fear and anticipation of like, people are going to hate this. Some people are going to love it. The people who understand it and like know the inside jokes are going to like it because I like it. But there are going to be people who don't, who are either offended or they think I'm in a cult or they think, I'm being deceived in some way or whatever. They all have commentary about it. And I was really nervous. Like, what if somebody says something that's so mean or is so just like such an effective teardown of my testimony? What if this actually ends up being a bad thing for my faith? And the hate comments started rolling in. And I would see them and I'd be like, oh, it's nothing I haven't heard so far. Like, you know, and none of it is any kind of like well-researched argument. It's all emotion-based. And so it's been pretty easy for me to just be like, like, you can think that. You can not like what I believe or uh, how I live what I believe, but it's not shaking my testimony. And in fact, representing my faith online on a frequent basis, we know bearing testimony has the effect of strengthening your own testimony. And so it's been a kind of a fun exercise in just really cleaving to what I believe and growing closer to Jesus Christ in private so that I can do this and not feel shaken when people don't like what I am sharing.
That's awesome. That's really, really awesome. Tell me, um, tell me a little bit before, because I really don't understand. I don't know. I don't know you before you were an influencer, right? So what were you doing before? I mean, I know that you had your company.
Yeah.
Had you been doing social media with your company, with your book to prep and get you ready kind of for this new phase of influencing?
Yeah. So a few years ago, I worked for the company Work and Wonder. Do you remember that?
Mm-mm. Oh, I don't.
They were another LDS faith-based company. We made beautiful print products and things for women who just really appreciated beautiful things, but also wanted them to be faithful and functional. And I was the editor in chief of the magazine.
Okay.
And right around the time that my book launched, they merged and the company like dissolved and it turned into a new company. And a lot of times people just don't end up staying through mergers. And so the sad part about it was that my book kind of got lost in that transition. And so it did sell out, but they weren't going to continue carrying my book. And I ended up not staying through the merger. And um, a couple other coworkers who had worked there also ended up leaving. And we had worked together for years and we had different skills that we had developed. And I had kind of started growing my account on purpose to share my book as it launched. So I kind of had this momentum on social media. And then when we ended up leaving the company, we were like, do we want to still like work together? What if we did something for kids? And so we just collaborated and ended up creating a new company together that still felt it was lucky that it still felt relevant to the kind of presence that I was already building. Um, but, there were just some different like transitional things that we went through and I sort of let Instagram go for a while and would pick it back up and let it go. And I just kind of was like lost. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with that platform until Happy Sacrament really started to like, okay, grow some roots. How do we want to um, build? And then I just figured, I actually have a presence here. I could kind of use my existing platform to help get this company going. And so it's just been this fun experiment in sharing what I like to share and seeing people find it and enjoy it and make friends and make connections. And so it's been cool.
Which has led to you and, oh, who's your business partner for We Are Creators?
I Oh, for We Are Creators is Marla
Yes,
Gale.
Marla. So so tell us a little bit about that because now you've gone from, working as an editor and now you're a social media influencer, and then you switch and tweak things to being a faith-based social media influencer. And then this last fall, you hosted your very first We Are Creators conference, which I went to, and it was wonderful and lovely and all the amazing things. So, tell us a little bit about that and how that kind of the steps were ordered in that way.
Yeah. Well, so I Marla is not one of my business partners at Happy Sacrament. We didn't know each other previously, but she had had this feeling that she wanted to get this conference going for LDS influencers and business owners, female LDS influencers. And I had kind of had this little bug in my brain that, like, maybe down the road, I want to use Happy Sacrament as a way to gather people. And I kind of had this conference idea that it would be more family based because Happy Sacrament is for the family, for the children. So I was like, how can I put a conference together that's like for kids? And I kind of was praying about it, knowing that this isn't something I'm working towards in the short term at all. It's just kind of a pipe dream that I have for this company. And I just kind of my prayer was almost like a brainstorm where it was like, "Hey, Heavenly Father, I feel like this is kind of something I want to do, but I know there's so much I don't know. So, I don't know if you feel like there's some way that you could prepare me or teach me. I'm open. I'm ready for that. I'm ready to learn." And I'm not even kidding, within 4 days or 3 days, Marla messaged me like a cold call. I didn't know her at all before this, and she was like, "Hey, I want to put this conference together, but I know I need a partner. I don't know the first thing about it. And for some reason, I've been praying about who my partner should be, and I can't get your name out of my head. And I know we don't know each other, but I thought I'd reach out." And I was like, this is crazy.
Had she been
This
following
is
you on
crazy.
social?
I think so. I think so.
Hmm.
Yeah. And we had been in a couple of like LDS creator chat groups where it's collaborative, but we hadn't ever worked together or talked to
Mm.
each other before that. So we ended up having some conversations to see if we wanted to work together on that. And we put that conference together, and it was a bumpy ride because it was our very first and neither of us had done it before. But considering that, I would say it was a
I
success.
would too.
So it
I
was,
thought it was so successful. So, so successful. But also awesome. I mean, I remember talking to you at the conference and you were already like, "Oh, we need to do this different. We need to do this different. This can be better." And that's also super fun when you're just fresh, new eyes, but you're wise and smart enough to be able to say, "Oh, this was good, but just wait till we get the next one going," because we know what we want to do and tweak things up. So,
my favorite, the metaphor of like weaving
yes.
is like, if you look at the back, it's a mess.
Yes.
And old Weaver knows that. And it felt a little bit like that, where it's like, I know this is a mess. I see all the messy stuff that the attendees hopefully didn't see.
Yes.
Um, but just knowing all of it is like, okay, I know how I would make this better next time.
I love it. Well, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. All right. Your tagline, Tess, is helping you live and love your your Latter day life. But I would like to kind of more live and love your Christian life, right? Because there's so many Christian influencers out there that I feel um, I want to speak to. But what does that mean to you personally? And how do you stay spiritually grounded in a digital, distracted world?
Okay. So what it means to me to live and love your Latter-day life or your Christian life is to, like I was saying, find the joy and find God's hand in everything, whether it's the hard stuff or the fun stuff or the good, the good stuff, the blessings. And I've had some experiences in my life where I've had to really learn how to see certain trials, or I've not learned how to see them, but where you get enough distance and perspective that you can actually look back and see, oh, I thought that was a trial in the moment, but I see what it taught me, or I see how it was preparing me for something else that came later. So just kind of learning to trust God that way and find the joy in it. And I think when you really are focused on finding the joy in it, the craziest byproduct to me that I wouldn't have expected that this was like A, then B, the byproduct of finding joy in my faith in my everyday life is that I like people more. It is easy to be nice to people. It is easy to be forgiving or to be unbothered by them not liking me. It's okay. It doesn't matter. God doesn't love them less. He doesn't love me less because we think differently. Um, it's easy to serve people. It just has given me a lot of charity in my heart by really focusing on coming closer to Christ. So I think that that is part of that message and trying to share that message.
That's so fun. I talk a lot about and I think a lot about the faith, hope, and charity cycle, right? And we're living in a very spherical experience with faith, hope, and charity. We are constantly going through that experience, and we're on a linear experience, going up to heaven. But the lives that we live are spherical, cir- circular, basically, right? And so we're
Mhm.
constantly going through this wheel of that. And it's so interesting because I think we can be doing it in our personal life. We do it in our spiritual life. So we have all of these different circles happening of this process. And it's so fascinating because first we have to start with a faith in Jesus Christ, right? Like that is the very mustard seed of where it all begins. And it can be even like as little as, well, I heard that there is this guy named Jesus and they said he's pretty cool, right? Like that is a teeniest little bit of hope in Jesus Christ. And then we start to hope for, right? Like once we have that little seed of faith in Christ, then we can start hoping a little bit at a time that life can get better, right? Or I can do better, or these things will work out. And then we start to see how these tiny little seeds of faith turn into hope. And then we have experiences that prove to us that things do work out or my testimony can get better. And then as we go through these experiences, what happens is we actually have more love for God. And as we have these experiences, we gain more hope, we gain more faith, and we have more love for God. And when we have more love for God, the natural byproduct of that is to have charity for our neighbors, right?
Yeah.
And so that I love that when we find joy in living our faith, we really do find love for others because we are grateful in the life God has given us. And
Yeah.
because we find that gratitude, because we see to have that joy, it's because we love God, we're able to love others. And the more we're
Yeah.
able to connect with God, the more able we're able to love as he loves, right?
Yeah.
And charity really is the ability to not just love, but to see people as Christ sees them. And
Yeah.
that's when we become the most like Christ. It's not just about us, but it's about how we can interact with our brothers and sisters here on earth and see them through Christ's eyes.
Yes, exactly.
That is so cool.
And
I'm glad you brought that up. As something I've been studying lately a lot in the scriptures, and it's something I think about all the time. Um, especially, especially when you're going through trials and you don't see the end from the beginning and you're stuck in the thick of the trial and you're thinking, holy cow. But you have to remember this isn't your first trial. This isn't the first time, you've started to wrestle with life and you're not understanding the process or you don't know what you're supposed to be learning or if anything, but you can remember that God has gotten you out of these circumstances before. And that's what's so cool is that you're still in a hopeful state. You're still hoping everything works out, but you still
yeah.
have faith based on what you have already experienced. And
Yeah, collect evidence.
yes, yeah, you're collecting evidence along the way. Anyways, that's a fun concept for me to think about is just that spherical experiences we're having with faith, hope, and charity on this
Yeah,
linear journey that we're hoping to get back to our Heavenly Father, and how important it is to recognize that we are never out of the faith, hope, charity cycle, and that charity is actually the consequence of having faith and hope in Jesus Christ.
totally. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I want to know what.
Oh, I didn't answer your
Oh,
question.
yeah, go ahead.
It was,
Yeah,
how
how do
do
you
I
stay thank you.
direction?
Yes, how do you stay spiritually grounded in such a digital distracted world?
Okay, staying spiritually grounded in a digitally distracted world. Well, I spend a lot of time on my phone because this is a job. I treat it like a job. So my kids go to school and I sit and I focus and I spend time doing this. But I think because there's purpose in it, it's easier to not let it turn into like doom scrolling or be a distraction from things that are more important. And then I think also just setting boundaries around setting boundaries around the distractions that like there are things that are more important than this. As much as you want to check out, like there can be you have to make it so that there are times when you do that and there are times when you don't so that your kids aren't seeing this.
Yes,
You know?
yes.
And like um or letting the negativity that you encounter like affect you. It's all just part of setting boundaries and having faith and staying connected to the purpose.
Mhm. Something that's so interesting that I think, especially if you're not in the thick of it, something that I've noticed with my account and with my algorithms is because of the content I consume, which the algorithm is because of the content I create is faith-based, right? Fashion-based. That is actually the content I also will consume on my social feed. So that is something just to note for those of you listening is if your algorithm or the things that you're consuming in your social media feed is not uplifting, you need to start clicking and liking and sharing things that are uplifting and naturally,
Yeah.
the natural consequence of that with the algorithm of social media is that you will see more uplifting things. And so my
Yeah.
feed is very uplifting. It's not like I get on and my doom scrolling takes me into a negative space. It actually takes me in a super positive space. But sometimes I justify like, oh, look at all these wonderful positive messages these women are sharing or men are sharing. But that too still can be distracting.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, your algorithm shows you what you engage with, not necessarily what you want to see.
Exactly.
So if you're angry at everything you're seeing and you're typing mean comments and you're or sending it to people, then it's going to show you more cuz it's going to think, "Oh, they engage with this. They must like it enough
Exactly.
to, you know, keep going."
Exactly, exactly. So just a little food for thought as you're engaging in social media. If you're seeing things that you're not necessarily loving, don't like it, move on from it, don't share it. Share the things that inspire and that you love. And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
that's what your feed will be.
Yeah.
All right, I want to talk about Happy Sacrament. You're
Okay.
the CEO of Happy Sacrament, a brand that makes faith fun, practical, and part of everyday walk with Christ. What led you to create it?
We are there are 4 of us, and we are just a little group of mothers. We have kids ranging from, like, I think 2 is the youngest, and then 14 or 15 is the oldest among all 4 of us, and we saw a gap in like really beautiful high quality products that are not it's not that it's beautiful like it's ethereal and it's florals and it's what the mother likes to see. It's like where is the stuff that the kids want to see? Cuz if it's too pretty,
Yeah, oh
too
yeah.
pretty and like adult in a pretty way, then the kids it doesn't hold their attention. So we were like, can we make some products that first of all reinforce gospel teachings, keep the kids attention in a reverent way, and are higher quality than anything we've seen on the market? And so we set out to do those things.
What has been your favorite product that you guys produced so far?
The Sacrament and Me card set
Oh,
is
cute.
the best seller by far. It's such amazing quality of the product, and then the teachings are so cute and so important. If you went to like a Sunday school class and you asked the adults what are the 4 can you name 3 or 4 of the baptismal covenants? They wouldn't be able to. And so we were like, if someone asked me that, could I answer it quickly?
Yes.
And like on a, like fundamental. These are fundamental answers that we should know. And it's just not we renew our baptismal covenants all the time and we live them, but are we articulating them? And so we were like, okay, we need to teach that we're taking the sacrament. What are the symbols of the sacrament? How is the sacrament a renewal of those covenants from baptism and our baptism versus Christ's baptism? And so we kind of took all of these 12 of these like meaty little bits of these ordinances to teach children about. And it's definitely our favorite product and our best seller.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Tell me a little bit about your book. When did you write it? And kind of what was the inspiration behind it?
Oh my gosh. Well, when did I write it is a hard question to answer because it took me like 8 years.
Okay. The work in progress.
So, when my oldest was like 18 months, this was, more than 10 years ago, I was looking for a creative outlet. I loved domestic crafts. I loved cooking and baking and decorating my home. And I was in the earliest phases of motherhood and I just was really enjoying that. But I needed a challenge because it's draining, but it's not always like stimulating.
Mhm.
So I was like, I'm going to do a project for myself where I like really dive in and learn something and practice something with some discipline. And so I set out to bake 40 loaves in a year, like 40. And I baked quantity wise way more than that, but it was like 40 types of bread. So some of them I baked many, many times. And just to learn the science of bread and it ended up turning into this thing where it's like I have so much bread every week always because I'm always baking something. So then I'm giving it to neighbors and bringing people over and we're having tasting parties and we're having play dates around the bread. And so it became this gathering tool and it just was this kind of really fun experiment and I kept notes on all the loaves that I baked and I made recipe changes and so the bread part of the book started coming together years and years before. Then I just was like, what do I do with this? Like I have all this kind of journaling and recipes, but I didn't have a format or a framework for what this was going to look like. And then when my third son was born, like 6 years later, I had this hospital trauma that was really kind of a life changing experience for me. And I journaled through my recovery from that. And they, at a glance, they're unrelated. But then I started just thinking about like the symbolism, the scriptural symbolism, and the significance in a religious sense of bread. And also bread as the finished product. Jesus Christ is the bread of life. But then there's these elements of bread when you deconstruct it. You've got grain and water and thyme and salt. And these all also have scriptural relevance and symbolism. And so I just was like, as I was thinking about these and pondering these and processing my trauma and recovering from that, it started to come together into this story, sort of, or collection of essays on my personal quest for redemption and healing and how each of these symbols of bread um, were relevant to us as sinners and healer. We're in the process of healing, all of us, and healing each other, helping each other. So um, it was a really cool process. It did definitely not come together overnight, but um, the actual compiling of the book probably took a year or 2 years, but the whole long process was like 8 years and many thousands of dollars in hospital debt. Bread ingredients and hospital bills.
Oh my
The
goodness.
cost was high.
The cost was high. It's fascinating to me. I bring this up almost every single podcast, but that story, the writing of that book, one of one of the influencers that came on early on, Alyssa, she always says, God ordered my steps. And I love the symbolism of one order. God is a God of order, right? He's very much a God of step by step by step. And he's a planner, like he's the ultimate planner. Nothing that's happening within our lives. One of my favorite affirmations that I write down every single day is everything is already working out. It's
Mhm.
already been planned. It's already been managed. It's already been worked out. And we're sitting here dying, wondering what the heck is going on. But really, it's a time of excitement because we're anticipating what God has already worked out for us. But the order of your steps in that process of the book, those were very powerful, pivotal steps that were ordered in a very specific way. They weren't
Yeah.
all positive steps. Sounds like your hospital and the bills and the trauma and the health issues that came with that were very negative. But because God is a perfect God, he takes all of that and puts at the end of it this, and I've not read the book, but I can only assume just by talking and listening to you, that is a very ordered book that's probably very unique to your experiences, but is going to touch a lot of hearts and be able to teach basic principles of the gospel, of the sacrament, and of the atonement that only you could write based on your steps that were ordered specifically for you. So that I'm so excited to read that. I mean, especially those things, anything great takes time. It just does. Um, So I'm excited to read that book. I like I said today, I didn't even know you had written a book, so it comes out, and the plan is for that to be out around Easter time, correct?
Yes, hopefully, because the title of the book is Risen.
Mhm.
So I'm like, an Easter launch would just be really poetic for me.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I have to redesign it, and I'm hoping to relaunch it
I'm gonna
in
pray that
26.
you get it redesigned and that it comes out, if it's the right timing
Yeah,
of all things.
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. All right, our last segment is lessons and advice. So I want you to tell all of our listeners, what do you wish every Christian woman knew about her worth?
Oh, well, this is loaded. There's so much here that I could talk about. One of my favorite scriptures is, I think it's Luke 125. Is it 125? Where he is, the scripture is that the Lord answers the prayers of his women and he fulfills the promises to his daughters. And I love that. I think that that is so precious. But there's also, um, there's in some older, I think an older school of thought is that Eve is the catalyst for our pain and our sorrow and toiling in this life because of the choice she made in the garden. And I I just really look at Eve as that women, first of all, women are the crowning piece of creation. That creation was it's she was not an afterthought. She was not made as an accessory to Adam. He would be forever unfulfilled without her, and creation would have been unfulfilled without her. And so our legacy is that we are daughters of God, not in a not in a metaphorical sense. We are literally daughters of the God who created everything. So that gives us really amazing and eternal purpose and value when you internalize that. And then remembering that God uh, answers and remembers and fulfills promises to his daughters is also really precious to me. And I think that that is a non denominational principle. I think that that applies no matter what the belief is.
I love that. I love that. I bring up Eve all the time. Eve is probably the person that I'm most excited to meet when we all go back up to heaven. And I talk all the time about Eve moments, um, and how we all have Eve moments within our lives where we can stay and be what we are currently, and that's good. But God oftentimes puts in front of us decisions and choices that we get to choose to make. And in doing so, not only do we perpetuate joy and happiness for ourselves, but the true Eve moments are those that perpetuate joy and happiness and opportunity for everyone
Yeah.
around us. And I love Eve for that. I love the story of Adam and Eve so much. I think so often about how much trust she had in him to go back to him and say, I made this decision. And I don't think it was flippant. I believe that she trusted him with her heart. She trusted him with everything, and she knew that he would choose her. And I love thinking about Adam and how much he must have loved and trusted her to follow her lead and to say, okay, you chose this. I trust, I love, I'm choosing you. I love that story. It gave me chills just thinking about it again, but I love the story of Eve and I love their love story that is also there. There's a lot for us all to learn about how to treat one another and especially within our relationships. But I'm going to move on. What is a gospel lesson you've learned the hard way?
Let me think. So along with my hospital recovery, I think this was something that I couldn't have learned without having gone through it. I was just an inherently impatient person and just kind of, I don't know, I believed in myself. I believed in my ability to accomplish things and make, my control over myself and my situation, but I just would be like, road rage or like blaming other people if something was inconveniencing me or, when kids are toddlers, it's really easy as a mom to be like, oh, these kids and be kind of a victim to your own motherhood. And when
Yes.
I went through this hospital experience, um, the f s the hospital experience wasn't the hard part, it was the post-traumatic stress for the years following, and so, one of the ways that I sought recovery from that was, to go to my church's ARP meeting, Addiction Recovery Program, which is it's the 12 steps, uh, written out as a Christian program, so you've really woven in the atonement and the healing process with Christ as as a walk with him rather than just, something you're doing on your own as you lean on him. It is very much a process that you take with the Lord. And I remember thinking in those meetings, and I'm not an addict in the sense that I struggle with substance abuse, but I, uh, would say that addiction patterns are that you receive a trigger happens and you respond to it in an unhealthy way over and over and over. And that was happening to me. So I had friends who were sober, and recovering addicts and who were saying, these brain pathways that you're forming are really these are addiction patterns. It's just that your substance is hate and anger and not a drug or pornography. And, they
Hmm.
were like, "If you wanna come to a meeting, we think it would help you." So, I had to humble myself, and I went to meetings with them, and I really learned amazing things, and to be honest, I don't know that I've ever felt the Spirit so strongly as I have in those meetings because the
Hmm.
humility that it takes, the stronger the Spirit, the humbler the people, and it just was so strong because these people have been through such hard things and are, in different ways slaves to their own minds or choices, or the choices of others. And I look at that experience and I'm like, I don't think I could have ever learned what I learned from that any other way. And it was really hard. So
Hmm.
I would say that is something that I had to learn the hard way was going right through it.
Hmm. I love that. I mean, like you said, y I was thinking in my head, I'm like, "Well, did she get, addicted to drugs while she went through the process of healing?" Because I
Yeah.
didn't realize, I mean, I've never heard of that, the 12-step. I mean, I know the 12-step process, I've heard a lot about that, but yeah, in my mind, it's for addicts to drugs, pornography, smoking, whatever, right? So that is so interesting, though, that we really can be addicted to so many other things. It's not just the
Yeah. Well,
substances.
and it's I don't know, I don't think of it necessarily as like that I was addicted to something, but it was just like I needed to heal. I needed my friends who had healed from their issues with this program were like, this is the best way we know to heal. You're not going to learn this in Sunday school. You got to go reading. And so,
Mhm.
and
But that we can be addicted to hate and
absolutely.
anger, right? Like, I've just never even thought about that, that really can be such a huge crutch as far as before we can, and stopping our own ability to heal, um, is letting
Yeah,
go of
and I
those
think
things.
because there's this
Mm,
association with these steps and these habits, we push it to the side and we say, "That's not for us. We don't have big
mhm.
problems like that." If
Right,
if we
right.
learned these steps in church, we probably wouldn't have a lot of the
Yeah.
problems that we have, and most of us do have big problems like that, don't admit it.
Yes,
So it
yes.
was really a really beautiful
Huh,
program and beautiful experience. It's AA. It's AA. You can get it anywhere, but,
yeah.
um, doing it through the church and where it's really interwoven with my faith was really meaningful.
Hmm, interesting. What would you tell someone who feels a nudge to share their faith but is scared? We talked a lot about this at the conference.
It's not as bad as you think it's gonna be. You're not gonna hear well, first of all, what are you scared of? Are you scared of what other people are going to say? Are you scared it's going to shake your testimony? Are you scared? Most of the time, I think it's that you're afraid of what other people will say. And to that, I'm like, they're going to say something no matter what you do, first of all. And does their
True.
opinion matter more than the opinion of your maker and or yourself? Your own integrity and your own standing by your beliefs. So it's not as bad as you think it's going to be.
I love that. And I also think that um, you got to follow it.
Yeah.
Follow the nudge. Follow the nudge. And when we do follow the nudges the Lord provides, um, I was telling the kids last night, it was talking about the story of the brother of Jacob in the book of Ether, and the Lord told him how to steer the boat. The Lord told him how to get air into the boat, but Lord told him, "Don't worry about where you're going to end up. I'll make sure you end up where you need to be." But the one thing he didn't tell him how to do is the light, right? And I just love. I was studying one day and I read a quote that said, "The brother of Jared had read somewhere else in a story, and I can't remember where it was in the Old Testament, of another person using rocks for light." And so it wasn't like he came up with this brand new idea. He had heard of it or studied it somewhere else. But at the same time, the Lord still said,
Mhm.
"Figure it out. You got to figure this out." And so he humbly went to the mountain and he took a lot of time to carve these perfectly round stones. And then I can only imagine, because we've all felt there, we've all been there. And he heads back up to talk to the Lord and he's like, "Lord, please forgive me if this sucks. Like, this is what I thought of. I just need you to touch him and make him work." And the Lord was so proud of him. He wasn't like, "Wow, this is as good as you have." I mean, you are the brother of Jared. You're building barges. You've been building barges, and this is as good as it gets. Like, that's not how the Lord responded. He responded with, "Good. I mean, yes, I'll do that. Of course, I'll do that." And then it turned into this huge faith experience where the brother of Jared was actually able to see see God. I just love that the Lord provides us with the things that we need to do the things He needs us to do to become the sons and daughters of God that He wants us to be, right? It really is about creating lives and creating ourselves to live up
Totally.
to the fact that we are sons
Yeah.
and daughters of God. Um, but yeah, I love. I just it's true. If you're feeling the nudge to step up and to start testifying online,
Yeah.
just go for it. Just do it. He'll give you the things that you need. He'll give you the thicker skin. He'll give you the experiences that bless you with those opportunities to develop the skills and the things that you need
Yeah.
in order to do it.
Totally.
Well, we have a little wrap up sesh. I haven't done this. We skewed away from this, but I thought it would be kind of fun because I like the questions around this. But we do a little wrap up of would you rather. And so I'm going to ask you would you rather questions, and you're going to tell me what you would rather do. So would you rather, this is our Christmas edition, Christmas church edition. Would you rather speak in church in a church meeting or in Relief Society last minute?
Oh, I'm game for either. I don't mind speaking or teaching. I'm a gospel doctrine teacher.
Oh, right now. Easy peasy.
Yeah, and my husband's in the bishopric, so I'm like a backup.
So you're always ready.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm ready. I'm
You're going to
ready to
whip out
talk.
those cards and say, "We got some doctrine to
Yeah,
learn, peeps."
we're gonna have a lesson on the sacrament. Yeah, yeah.
I love it. Would you rather a perfectly clean house forever or never cook again?
Perfectly clean house.
Okay, I think me too. Me too.
I
Paper
like
script.
cooking.
You love to I actually love cleaning too. I really do. It brings me joy.
I
Oh,
don't like
you love
cleaning.
cooking. Oh, we would be the perfect match.
Yeah,
You could cook and I'll clean.
yeah. Or you pick clean house, and I'll pick cook forever, and we'll just live together, and we don't have to do either.
That's perfect. You're right. What was I thinking? There's a way better way to solve that problem. Paper scriptures or digital?
Paper, 100%.
100% me too. Youth devotional or women's conference speaking? Would you rather speak at a youth devotional or a women's conference? Oh, this is gonna
Women's
be hard.
conference.
Women's conference. Okay, okay. Florals forever or neutrals forever?
Forever?
Forever.
I think neutrals.
Neutrals. Neutrals, probably me too. And like if they would have said stripes forever or neutrals, I would have had to go with stripes. But florals, I can live without florals.
Florals, yeah. I live in a house with boys. There's not a lot of floral going on over here.
Right. You get no support there at all.
Yeah.
Okay, planned girls camp or award Christmas party?
I've done both.
Which did you like?
I like both. Planning girls camp is so fun because you can make them do something, like, big, like, take them whitewater rafting or something. You get to
The
basically
mama
plan
boys.
your own dream trip and just bring all the kids with you.
Exactly. AKA I need a vacay.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So just to wrap everything up. First of all, thanks so much for being on and taking time. I know it's so busy. This time of year is so busy. So thanks for being with us today and taking
Of
time to
course.
share your testimony. I want to know what's a quote that you have lived by recently? What's one of your go-to quotes or go-to scriptures that you've been living by recently?
The one that pops into my mind is Think Celestial. I think that that goes kind of along with the the hope, faith, hope, charity cycle where I just have started thinking like, if it stings in the moment, is it going to matter in a year? Is it going to matter to my kids when I'm gone? Is it going to matter to me, even to me when I'm gone? Like, it really just doesn't. Like, none of the little slights hurt you. And to think celestial in the positive sense is if I share my testimony today online in like one silly small way, could it matter to somebody in the celestial perspective?
Mhm.
It could,
Yeah,
so I think that one is one that I think I live by lately.
I love that. What is one thing you wish all women would remember?
Um, I think it was to summarize my thoughts on Eve that you were the crowning piece of creation.
I love that. I love that. And then what is one special tradition that you as a family do during Christmas time to remember Christ?
We actually, well, we're still figuring out what traditions work for us. We try something new every year, and this year we're super excited to go to the giving machine.
Oh, fun.
So that it's new for us. We do so many different things every Christmas season, but I feel like if we end up loving this, I think it'll probably be that.
The giving machine, so just a little background, the giving machine, our machine set up there's a lot of machines. You can go online and find tons of the different areas, but basically they are so incredible. They were built and put in kind of it was established by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And what they are is you can go buy a blanket, you can go buy a dinner, you can go buy a chicken, you can buy a goat, like you can buy just about anything that will then be donated to people in need across the world.
Mhm.
You can donate money, obviously. There's your typical donations, but there's also your other donations that is actually so fun. I remember my kids going for the first time. They're like, "We can donate a pig?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
you can. It's actually sick, right?" But,
Yeah.
that is a really, really fun tradition that we've been blessed to be able to do here in Utah because there's quite a few giving machines pretty much at every mall here in Utah
Yeah.
County. But is there a giving machine in California?
Yeah, it's in Old Town San Diego by the Mormon Battalion.
Okay, yeah. How fun.
It was at a mall a few years ago, but I think it just didn't get the traffic that they
Yes.
were hoping, so
Yeah.
they moved it more to a church history site.
Okay. That is so, so fun. Well, Tess, I hope that you have the best Christmas ever.
Thank you. You
And
too.
thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. And you're going to be here in January. So please text me and let's get together
Yeah.
and hang out. Okay.
Yeah.
When women support each other with intention, we rise together. Your dollar is more than currency. Its influence is change, its empowerment. As we celebrate the Christmas season, May we remember that the greatest gift we can offer is the light we carry and the light we live. Until next time, let your choices shape the world you want to see and love every layer of your life. Mwah!